Welcome back to Blitz. Joining me now is Taylor Bennett, star soccer player for the Lady Tigers. Taylor, had you on here before, I believe. Thank you for your time today, and congratulations on a great career. I know it didn't end quite the way you wanted it to, but talk about this season, though. I mean, it was a great year. I believe the girls were ranked, was it 3? Was that the highest you got in the state? 14-4 record, Elite 8 run, the second time in your 4 years here. When you look back at it, not the finish you wanted, but still a great year.
Yeah, I think that the girls did really well, like stepping up. And as far as, I mean, we always have set standards that coach sets for us every year. I mean, us going to state playoffs is an expectation. I mean, it's not something that we're just like, oh yeah, that's a goal. No, that's something that's expected. And I think that as a team, we all stepped up and we pushed each other, and even through, the injuries and, there were definitely hardships that we had to overcome as a team, but I think in the end, we definitely played our hearts out and left it all on the field. So.
I know it's a little emotional, but talk about your injury. We were actually at that game, the Banks County game, and it didn't look all that bad, your injury, because you actually came off on your own power for the most part. Talk about, what was going through your mind when it happened, and then in the days unfolding to the point where you found out you tore your ACL.
Yeah, when I first went down, I was like, oh God, please no. That was the first thought. And, I got up and I walked off the field and I was like, I'm fine. I mean, I'm not one to, sit on the ground. And, I know it freaked Coach out and freaked some people out that I wasn't getting up. And once I got up, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. The trainer looked at me. She didn't really think that it was anything I didn't think it was. And, tried to play Lumpkin the next Tuesday, and it just kept giving out. And at that point, Mom was like, okay, we need to go to the doctor. When got an MRI, turned out it was torn. And I guess that was just, it was one of those humbling experiences.
Right.
I would say that, it was, and I know it's definitely a blessing in disguise. I have yet to see why it's happened.
Yeah.
But it was definitely it was a heartbreaker. It was.
I'm sure, and I can only imagine how nervous you were waiting on the results of that. I mean, because you probably got the MRI and had to wait a day or two, I'm guessing.
I actually got it before spring break, so all of spring break I was like a wreck. And came back, and we weren't expecting it to be torn. We weren't expecting that news at all. And, to get that news, it was just took me down a few levels. And I was angry, I'll admit. And, but sitting here now, 4 weeks out of surgery, I definitely have a positive attitude about it. And, I know that it happened for a reason. And now I just have to work back to getting to playing.
What was that like, having to watch your teammates go through the rest of the grind of the schedule without you, and then getting to state, and as you said, that's an expectation, but not being able to be a part of the first 2 wins to get to the Elite 8?
It was really rough for me, just being a 4-year starter and a 3-year captain, not being able to step on the field and, help lead the girls. But, I took on a role, sitting on the benches, I can still help. Even though, I'm not going to be on the field helping to win, I can still encourage and, help coach on there.
Did that open up a different perspective of you as a player moving forward? Because I could see where that could be, where this was a blessing in disguise, because you have to essentially become almost like a cheerleader on the team.
Basically.
Yeah,
it definitely was an eye-opener, for
sure. Talk about Jekyll Island. I know that's a cool experience that both boys and girls get to experience every year in the Dawson County program. What's that experience like? Talk about the teams that you face. They're usually pretty tough. I imagine it gets you kind of set for region play every year.
It does. It's definitely a challenge for us. We go down there and it's also an expectation to win the games. And this year was a little different. We had a lot of rain, so there wasn't much of the sun. It did come out on the last day. But as far as the girls, we kind of find that line of having fun and being serious when we're at Jekyll. It's you find that line, and then it's great off the field. We can have fun, and then as soon as we step on the field, it's game time.
It's game time. Yeah. What you mentioned, expectations are to make state, and that's a sign of a good program, I know. But what were the goals that you had as a team for the season and personally as well?
As a team, I think, of course, it was to win state. It was a heartbreaker that, we did go through some hard things. And, just to go and, to play all the way up into the Elite 8, that's success in itself. And, I think the girls were proud of what we did. It wasn't the end result we were looking for. For me personally, my season, of course, was a lot different than what I planned it to be.
Sure.
I didn't get to play senior night, and there's a lot of things that I definitely missed out on, but all in all, I think that, I mean, I wouldn't look back and change anything
Yeah.
of the season. I think that, we played well as a team. I played well individually, and I mean, I'm proud of our success.
And what you were able to accomplish within, I believe, we can't quite come to an agreement on, I guess you played about 12 games roughly, but you scored 19 goals, 14 assists. That's ridiculous numbers. It would just be awesome to see what you could have done with, however many more, that would be, 6 or 7 more games, how much more damage you could have done. Do numbers, do you kind of run on numbers sometimes?
Sometimes, I mean, especially when I had the injury, I was sitting in my room one night, and Coach on senior night, he gave us plaques that, had all of our things, like when we made to stay, our personal records that we had set, and they were on our plaques. And I remember sitting in my bed, and I was like holding it, and I was like, I can't even imagine the things that what else I could have done. Like, I could have broken my own record and other records. And I think sometimes you do. I mean, you have to learn, like, not to be focused on, your own personal goals, because, like, there's no I in team. Like, you have to
They do gauge your success.
Yes.
So you know how you're playing. But when you talk about records that you would have broke, I'm assuming you're talking about your assist record that was 18 your junior year. Is that right?
Yes.
The 19 goals has to be a little bit annoying not to have gotten the 20, but man, what you could have done with 7 more games would have been awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely I mean, honestly, the whole thing was just heartbreaking for me. It wasn't, I mean, like I said, it wasn't the end of the season, like my senior season, that I would have expected. But, I mean, I can't say that, I mean, looking back on it, the success that I had within those few games, I mean, I have to be proud of myself and hold my head up for what I did accomplish.
Yeah, and just a little encouragement, and what I usually tell people that go through things like that is that, the blessing in disguise can be that you're going to maybe help somebody else through what you've already experienced, so that it won't be quite as bad on them. How can you use that experience to help somebody else who maybe their senior year at some point in their career goes down with an injury like that?
Yeah, for example, actually, since they previously said I am signed and I'm going to Brenau, they had one of their senior captains. She had an injury similar to mine her sophomore year, and she called me about 2 or 3 days before, or it was the day I found out that my MRI results, that my ACL was torn. And she called me. Marilyn, the assistant coach, gave her my number, and she called me up, and she kind of just talked me through everything. And I mean, I went from feeling like down in the dumps to, a lot better about things.
Sure.
And her being there for me just made me realize, like, I could be that for someone else.
How big of an impact was that to have that communication with where you're going to be going in your future? I mean, because I don't think a whole lot of colleges and universities do that for their players that are up and coming.
It was extremely encouraging, and it just kind of, solidified that that's where I'm supposed to be in the future, and, like, that's the course that I have set for myself. So
I know you're obviously the Dawson County teams are really close. The chemistry's there, you can tell, and that translates to the wins on the field. But you and Anella, I know, are pretty close.
Yeah.
You both. It can't be a coincidence that you both end up going to Brenau. How much of that played into both of you? Did you both discuss that at all?
It kind of just happened. I mean, I had already made my decision. I went back this past summer, and went and saw Brenau, and then I decided that that's where I wanted to play. And we actually played travel ball together. And Anella was previously going to go to SCAD. And then I guess it just, like, the puzzle pieces just kind of fell together, and we wound up on the same track going to Brenau. So, I mean, it's exciting. We're going to be roommates, so
oh, cool.
We're stoked.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be great for you, though, because it's going to be kind of an easy transition, I would think.
Yeah.
And kind of creates, I guess, for the upcoming that freshman class, as you get older and get into, your junior and senior year, that chemistry is already going to be set there. But talk about, when you look at going to Brenau, what are your expectations? I know you got a rehab from this injury, but what are the realistic expectations for what you can contribute in the first year?
I won't be able to play this upcoming fall season, which was another kind of
red shirt though, right?
I don't know. I don't think that I'm going to, since I will be released in December.
Okay.
Hope that's the plan. To be released in December, so I'll be able to play postseason with them in the spring. That's the ultimate goal, is to be released in December. And then as far as going from there, I plan to play all of my 3 years now, I guess, at Brenau. And I'm going to enter into their pre-PA program and then eventually go into PA. So, I mean, I'm super excited. I think that, I'll stick with it. And especially, like, having this injury, I think it just makes me want to play soccer more.
Right.
So, I mean, being out a year, it's like I want to get back to it. So.
Yeah. 2 Elite Eight runs, I believe a Sweet 16 and a Round 1 in your 4 years here at Dawson County. When you look back at that, I know you mentioned it already. Do you have any regrets at what your team's been able to accomplish in your 4 years?
I honestly don't regret anything. I think that, every year we stepped off the field for the last time, and, we knew that we had done everything we could and that we had played our hearts out. And, sometimes things don't fall as like we hope they do, but, everything has its purpose. And I think that, all of the girls could look back and, we wouldn't have regrets. And there's certain things, of course, in games where it's like, oh, I should have done something different.
Right, yeah. But overall.
I don't think that there's any regret there.
You strike me as a team that may have some superstition as well. Is that the case? Are there any superstitions with this team?
We have our certain things that we'll do before games, but, there's not anything, like, specific. But,
okay.
For instance, like, we always say, like, the Lord's Prayer before game, and we always make everyone step on the field. That's, like, one of our things, like, everyone on the field.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I had my little tradition, like when I would walk up to the to midfield, like before the game started, I would do like this little thing with my feet. I don't know. It was just everyone kind of has their own little thing they'll do before a game.
Hey, if it works, right?
Exactly.
So last question for you, and this is always a favorite of mine to ask, but when you have, especially athletes like yourself that have had a storied career, can you pick a top moment? If I were to ask you to pick one moment or anything like that.
I honestly, like looking back, I don't know if there's like one specific moment that I could pick out. I think that, freshman year coming up and starting varsity was, that was just a really cool experience for me. And then for us winning region that year, that was, like the ultimate, oh my gosh moment. And that was great. But as far as like looking over and just picking one, I honestly don't think I could.
Yeah.
Just because, my whole, like, I wouldn't trade these last 4 years of playing soccer for Coach Lacey and just for the girls for anything. It's been, like, so rewarding, and I'm very blessed to have been part of this program.
What makes Coach Lacey the kind of coach that he is? What makes him different from other coaches that really drives this program to success?
I think he's the kind of coach, like, you're always, you're very comfortable around him. He's like a father figure to all of us. And he's also the type of coach, like he can cut loose with us and have fun. And then like there's also the moment where, we know when to be serious with him. Yeah. And he's always encouraging. He's there for us through, everything. He's always got our backs, whether it be with school, with soccer, anything. Like we know, okay, we could call Coach Lacey. Like if I got it's like to any kind of situations, like we know that we could lean on him and that he would be there for us. So I think that's a huge thing, is just knowing that support system is there.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on a great career. I really hate the way it ended for you. I wish it wouldn't have went that way, but again, like you said, that's going to help someone else later down the road, and we look forward to seeing you do some damage at Brenau as well, and in NOLA too. So maybe get a few other Dawson County players over there. But thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
When we come back, we're going to have another interview for you and our Players of the Year on Blitz.